is that real estate at the end of the day is a consumer-facing business. You're delivering the most important product that a person will ever purchase in their lives. I think most of us need to now start thinking about, what it is that we can do to deliver that product better and deliver it on time. It requires us spending a lot more of our time on execution issues, on design issues, on thinking about the consumer, thinking about how you handle the customer, more so than just acquiring land and getting permission. So I think that mindset change is critical. And
Right.
Markets reward players who deliver what they want, and you're starting to see that. Projects right next to each other in Bombay are commanding, one is commanding 50, 60, 70% premium on a project right next door because it was designed well. The quality was very high.
Absolutely.
So I think
Samir has a point here, and a very important point. He's always said that, it really works for the builder and the developer to give projects in time. There's a huge premium that he can charge for his next project for that.
Yeah,
so he should be motivated to do it.
But before that, the solution really lies in having an efficient and strong real estate regulator and being able to ring fence the cash flows of the project. If you can do this, I think projects will not get delayed.
Ring fence the cash flows of the project. Would you agree with that?
No, I won't agree
Liquidity. Getambar has said many times that the fact that the funding is not coming that easily, and I would agree with that. If you've not got all the monies tied up, then be a little careful about promising that you will execute a project in certain time, because that's the biggest
regulator
input.
definitely helps, but it helps to weed out people who are not serious about their work and are not committed.
Which also will help.
Yeah, which will help definitely, but that's only a minor percentage. You're not talking about the big chunk of the problem. The issue here is, it's a perception issue. If you segregate two things, one is land business. The business we are talking about where the delays are, this is home building, this is manufacturing. Land is one aspect. Once you've got the land, then you're doing home building. So we have to start thinking like manufacturing. Like our company is only manufacturing. We don't even understand land that well.
So, but if you had an efficient real estate regulator,
Yeah.
And if you could construct like a manufacturer,
Yeah.
you had the capacity to construct only 5,000 units,
Right.
you won't go and sell 20,000
Yeah, but
units.
Samir, we are already boiling
Right?
down to the
And
fact
that is
that
what
the
a real
regulations
estate-
are causing the delay. Now you want another super
No,
regulator.
there
You
is-
will further mess up the whole thing. First have a single window clearance. Let the government be clear.
Okay,
Every state
single
government
window
has a
clearance.
different
Now,
law
now
in
I'm
this
hearing
country.
the solution.
That
Single
is
window
what a real
clearance.
estate regulator can also
Every
provide you.
state in
Guys,
this country,
Kalpesh has-
believe me, we go mad pan India. Every state explains us their
But
different
the real
version of
estate-
engineering.
The real estate regulator can also hold the government accountable.
Sir, first get the governments together.
Yeah.
Make
First-
a
That
single
has to
window
happen.
approval. Then put
Absolutely.
a regulator, there is no problem.
All right, we will come back. It's a large debate on whether we really need a real estate regulator or not. At least for the consumer, we do. For the building community or the developer community, it's a
So the
different
regulator
question.
is definitely coming.
It's coming,
Is
yes.
coming.
Because we've been in the meetings with the housing of urban housing and urban property, early aviation. We've been in the meetings. It is definitely coming, and there is a mechanism where you are ring fencing the cash flows up to 70% of the entire revenue.
Are you doing that? Are all developers
Yes,
doing that?
because whenever
Ring
you-
fencing cash?
Yes,
because if
you
you
have
have
to.
70% of the project funding tied up,
You have
that's
to
a
do
large
it, Manisha,
headache
because
taken off.
whenever you take funding from a bank, if at all, you have to ring fence the revenues for the bank's comfort. So that is what most of the developers in the organized sector are already doing.
They're not ring fencing with the sales and just
Of
taking
course,
money
with
from
the
the
sales.
consumers.
Of course, with the sales.
Even
No,
if
so
you
that's
look at the
that's what
Haryana
Samir
laws,
is saying, that
there
you
is a-
also need the rest of the 30% tied up.
See, I'll tell you, the land component, if you're selling a product, say for 100 rupees, there's a land component in that revenue, and there's a construction component, and there's a profit. So if you would say 30% goes towards my land and profit, then 70% is enough to construct my project. The issue is, where Vineet very rightly said, there are two things that need to be done immediately to actually kickstart this revolution of timely delivery, for us to enable to do it. For us to be able to do it. One is a single window clearance mechanism, which we have already proposed to the ministry and government time and again. The second is make cheap capital available to the developer by giving it an infrastructure industry status.
But first, the industry has to pay back. The figures say 1,19,000 crore
That's
rupees
not
to
you.
the
If you see
banking
the data, that's
industry.
just like Samir very rightly said, it's with just 25 odd people.
All right, even 25 odd people, it is representative. I think it's a chicken and an egg situation where the banks need comfort because they do see
If you see-
delays in loan repayment. That constant request for loans to be rolled over just makes them a little bit more hesitant. Another
other
big
sectors
debate.
are asking for
Another
it.
big debate. I'm asking you, He's given me his wish list. He says single window clearance. Kalpesh has very, very clearly said professional management, let's treat it, let's worry about the execution rather than launch of new projects. I think that's the big one. What would you add to that list? We just want a solution. In 3 years, 4 years, people should not be waiting endlessly for a home to be delivered to them.
Definitely a single window clearance. Definitely.
Right.
The time for permission should not take more than 3 months.
And do you think the problem will be solved?
To a great extent.
To a great extent. And that's okay. That's a promise from CREDAI that if a single window clearance comes through, then the problem will be solved. So, I mean, you agree with that, or you still think labor issues,
I don't entirely agree with
the
that.
Cash flow? You're still saying it's the cash flow issues and
I think it is developers
and not smart project
I think
management
issues.
Yes.
I
No,
think
the management issues are being dealt with because now the market forces compel you to spruce up your act. If you have to survive.
Still not that.
No, Manisha, this is a wrong
vibrant.
perception. You know, I'll tell you, it's mostly in the unorganized sector where you see bad stories now. In the organized sector, there are bad stories, but then...
Sir, I don't want to open my mouth, and I do not want to take the names of certain large builders in this country. We are not here to do any bashing, but the biggest of the real estate developers in the country are not being able to deliver in time.
Manisha, if there was a bad story in the IT sector, that doesn't make the entire sector bad.
All right, but the representative, the 25 top players.
Just to counter your point, like if you talk about the largest developers, they were all untouchable still now. Today you have competition council slapping orders which are unheard of.
All right.
So you have people, government is actually taking orders against flat bar agreements.
But
consumer is a gainer today, developers are crying.
We can keep talking, but I'm really sorry, we've completely run out of time.
Last interesting point. The same developers, the top 10 developers 5 years ago were delivering on time.
And now
But then they used to construct only 500 units.
Yeah.
Now they've gone and sold 20,000
That's
units.
the explosion. So the
And that's
explosion
the
has
real
happened.
Now that's what we're talking about. There is a 1.2 billion population to be housed. It's a mouth-watering market. Developers are saying, let's go out, buy the land and announce a project. 70% you will pay. The rest is what they will tie up with the banks. So lots of missing links, but the industry is getting better, and it's your job and my job to make sure it gets even better, faster. Kalpesh Mehta, Mr. Sampath, thanks very much for joining us on this panel. Vineet, Mr. Anand, and Samir Jasuja, pleasure. The debate continues on NDTV Profit, on the Property Show every week. If you've got a topic at the top of your mind which you'd like us to talk about when it comes to real estate or property, because it is Roti Kapra or Makan, and it's Makan that we're talking about, write into us at property@ndtv.com. Thanks very much for joining me. Thanks a lot, and see you again.